Well, everything's miserable and I hate it, and it sucks. So there's that. It's been a really rough year. It's been a few days since I've talked to you guys. How y'all doing? Uh, we lost in basketball. We're a day closer to baseball season. And we play UMass this weekend. 34.5 point favorites. Can we score 34 points? I Okay. There's not really much to talk about anymore at this point in the season that hasn't been discussed already. Jimbo is the talk of the town. Everybody's talking about Jimbo Fisher and the Aggies. Everybody has their take. Disappointment of the year. Jimbo's lost all credibility. Jimbo can't call plays. Jimbo's stuck in the past. Jimbo's stubborn. Jimbo's prideful. Jimbo doesn't know how to talk to the media. And yes, I've made all these points. But you know what I haven't done, and I don't see anybody doing these days? And I really wonder why. No one's defending Jimbo Fisher. And you know what? I'll fight for the man. Trial by combat, and I'm fighting. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go against the grain here, and I'm going to make a defense for Jimbo Fisher. I'm going to give us reasons that Jimbo Fisher, buyout or no buyout, let's act like there's no buyout, and then he could just leave or we could fire him at no cost. I'm going to give you about 10 reasons why Jimbo Fisher is the best option for Texas A&M in their future, starting next year. And I don't necessarily agree with every point that I've made here as a definitive factor towards an argument to keep him. But, I'm just doing this to put it out there because let's face it, we're stuck with him. He's here. No one's paying the $85 million and then paying for a new coach after that. That's equal or similar value to Jimbo Fisher. You're starting over if you're getting rid of Jimbo because you're not going to go find someone for 10 years, $75 million, whatever it originally was. You're not going to find that. You're not going to find that instant plug-and-play coach that you have instant results in recruiting and on the field and in credibility with, like you did with Jimbo Fisher. So you're stuck with him. So why not give the defense? Why not make a positive video? So I'm going to start listing these things out. I kind of already listed one, and that's that he's stuck here, but that's not really the point I'm trying to make here. But let's give some good, legitimate compliments to Jimbo Fisher, or defenses. It's either a compliment or a defending of his position. Number one, and this has been true since he got here and it remains true to this day, Jimbo Fisher is a national champion head coach. Those don't grow on trees. You don't find those everywhere. I know it was a different era. I know it's a long time ago, different circumstances. ACC, stacked team, Jameis Winston, Heisman, pre-playoff era. But there's something to be said for a coach who can create the structure, who can take the steps, build the program that is able to win the ultimate prize. So that's a feather in his cap, whether it be experience-wise and corporate knowledge-wise, or just as a recruiting pitch. And speaking of recruiting, reason number two, Jimbo's a great recruiter. There's an NIL argument out there. Of course, A&M has the best NIL options around. But Jimbo Fisher's been a great recruiter wherever he's been. And he's been a great recruiter all 5 years at Texas A&M, through the ups and the downs. He must demand the most out of his recruiting staff, out of his coaches, because obviously it's a collective effort. It's not just Jimbo recruiting. He's the one that goes into the living room and makes the final pitch, of course. But Jimbo has the system of recruiting down to a science. I mean, the results speak for themselves. Point number three, because Jimbo is a great recruiter, and this kind of is more on the hands tied narrative, he has a strong relationship with all these top players. All the Evan Stewarts, Connor Wegmans, Cam Dewberrys, Chris Marshalls, he's probably gone anyway, Bryce Andersons of the world. Jimbo's the guy who the pitch depends on. So if you're going to dump Jimbo, you think there's an exodus coming. Imagine the exodus if Jimbo's gone. First of all, Yes, Jimbo's the pitch. Second of all, that shows program instability. When you get rid of the coach, it's a reset. You have to tear it down, which is actually my next point. Do you really want to tear this thing down? We've had a bad year, yes. And there have been bad moments every year Jimbo's been here. I understand that. But are you going to tear the program that he's been building down? The guy that's done it before, who's actually had some pretty good success here in 2020, you really ready to tear that down? We can't take one bad year. We haven't had a championship in almost 100 years in College Station. And I know it's extremely disappointing. And there's a lot of fault on Jimbo's head on this. If not most of it is on Jimbo himself. I mean, he's the head man, obviously. It is, but, I mean, play calling, etc. But it's no small task to go find a new coach and build this thing from ground zero. Because let's face it, and it's a fact, the success, and this is another reason, is not a straight line to the top. Rarely in life do you jump into something and every step along this endeavor, whether it's a new career, a new relationship, a new building a house, remodeling a house, rarely is everything perfect, smooth to the top. And you scale that up to a football program where there are other teams out there going for the same thing that you're going for, competing against you. And I'm not defending 3-7. You can't defend that. It's a shitty year. But it's never a straight line to the top. Look at Jim Harbaugh. Look at Dabo. And I'm not comparing the coach themselves to Jimbo. I'm just comparing their path. They had moments where they could have been fired before they seen excellence. And Jimbo's actually seen some success before this, I would say, valley, but it's more of a trench that we're in right now. And yeah, it's terrible, and it makes you question everything. Of course. That's what you do. The results aren't there. You're going to question it. But are you really ready to reset this whole thing already? After some of the success he's seen and the ongoing, continuous success on the recruiting front, and of course the Anthony Hill thing is a major blow, and we're hoping it's not a sign of things to come. But benefit of the doubt, Jimbo's going to close strong. That's how it goes with Jimbo. So that's 5 reasons. Next, and this is kind of an excuse for Jimbo, and I mean, we're forcing the issue here. We're pumping these points out here. We're not necessarily wholeheartedly behind them, but we're just making an argument for Jimbo here. So bear with me while I give Jimbo a really big excuse on some of the lack of success this season. But it is the fact that there are true freshmen either starting or playing close to half the snaps at every single position group. And that starts at quarterback. Last game, it was at running back. You had a freshman and a redshirt freshman. It's all over the O-line, middle to the left side. Tight end until they got hurt. Receivers, 2 of the starters are true freshmen right now, one of which hadn't really played all year until like last game in Noah Thomas. Defense, obviously the D-line is littered with young players, freshmen, redshirt freshmen. Linebackers, we saw the first of the Harris kid, number 40 last game. Corners, Smoke Bowie, Denver Harris. Safeties, Jacoby, Bryce. I mean, they're great players. But when you have so many, I mean, you have a great impact freshman on a team, a championship level team, that happens all the time. But when you have freshmen everywhere on a team, I mean, it's almost unprecedented how many freshmen are playing for Texas A&M right now. And yes, they're not really baby freshmen. They're not truly freshmen anymore this deep into the season. They have a season behind them now. But relative to what they're playing against, who they're playing against, it's a young, inexperienced team. And experience is one thing, but also just sheer growth and conditioning in the weight room. They've only been immersed in the college strength and conditioning program for 3, 4, 5 months. Maybe some of the spring guys a little bit longer. But compare that to the teams they're playing against with seniors and juniors, whereas A&M starts like 2 seniors. It's a big difference there. That's got to be hard to do. And on top of that, the play calling, the stubbornness offensively, the inability to adapt to the modern era. So that's a sixth reason right there, sixth point. I'm going to make the seventh one based off that last thing I said right there. And that was the play calling is bad. It's bad. It's bad play calling, bad play design. Needs to fix it, needs to hire an OC. Kind of a more recent development here. I don't know if you guys caught the Pulse this week. The Pulse, if y'all don't know, most of y'all probably do know, but it's like the weekly documentary that features the week of practice, the previous week of practice, and then the previous highlight of the game. It has a lot of behind-the-scenes access, including locker room speeches, practice speeches, exclusive player interviews. I feel like I'm giving an advertisement here. It's the Pulse, Texas A&M football. The Pulse has been really depressing, by the way, lately. It's getting less views than it usually does, obviously. And they're playing like funeral music during the bad parts of the game now. And normally I would feel weird about this, but somehow it seems appropriate. Like during the last game, we had that stretch where there were like 3 really weird ref calls in a row against Auburn late, where it was like the out of bounds fumble touch, like the touch the ball, touch out of bounds, where Shamar Stewart didn't get the fumble, and there's like the ghost first down that wasn't really a first down, but they got the first down, and then something else happened with a fumble. And while that was all happening on the Pulse, they're playing like funeral music. I'm on a huge tangent right now. The point I was trying to make is in the Pulse last week, or this week, that just came out, at the end, they showed Jimbo's post-game speech as they usually do. And something that Jimbo, and I don't think Jimbo's the best speaker. We know this. He's not the best public speaker. Talks really fast. I feel like he thinks faster than he can talk, or talks faster than he can think. But he made it a point of emphasis to say over and over again that he needs to fix the play calling. Point blank, he said it like 6 times. Go back and watch the end of the Pulse. He's acknowledging a problem here, and he won't really do it to the media as much as would satisfy us. But in the Pulse, when he's talking to his team, when he feels like he's being held accountable to the people he's battling with, battling for, leading, he's acknowledging it. And that gives me a little bit of hope. He knows the issue. He knows there's an issue there at the play call. He knows it. He said it over and over again to his team. Is he going to hire somebody? Is that what that means? I don't know, but I think he's going to evaluate it. I think it's on the table. I think he's aware, and I think there's a pressure there that he's not only that the boosters and administration are going to put on him, but that he's going to put on himself. Which leads me to my next point. Point number 7, 8. Where are we right now? I think we're at 8. He's a prideful man, Jimbo Fisher. I mean, that's made evident by the fact that he will not get off of his old ways in terms of play design, play calling, the papers. He's stubborn. He's prideful. He's not going to let the ship sink if he can help it. He's going to hire somebody, right? Hope so. But, I mean, he's going to do whatever it takes. I feel and I believe the competitor that he is, that you must be a competitor to reach that level of coaching, to be a championship coach, to rise the ranks, and to be a college Power 5 top program coach at FSU and Texas A&M. You have to have that in you. And, you know, we know he's a very prideful man. That's a known trait about Jimbo, is his pride and his stubbornness. Maybe just not wanting to be seen as a failure will lead him to take the necessary steps. So I think that's a good sign. I really think that post-game interview was that post-game speech was a good sign. And, dude, it's kind of sad to watch as well. He's almost at a loss for words. Like, I don't really know what to say in these post-game things. It's the same thing over and over again. Go watch the end of the Pulse. At least watch the end of it. I know the views are down. We suck. I mean, come on. You don't really want to watch it. All right. Next reason, and this is a big one. This is a big in defense of Jimbo Fisher. Maybe I'm reaching. Have you seen his son? Dripped out. Like, I mean, 2 chains? Nah, this guy's like 4 chains. Like, the most beautiful pair of jeans you'll ever see. Clean cut. Ethan Fisher is a diehard Aggie. So it's a family affair for the Fishers. And, you know, when you bring your family to work, there's a certain level of, what's the word? Ownership, involvement, dedication. And yeah, he's getting paid millions. He's the coach of a team. But you know what? It's a good sign to me that it's a family affair, that the family's there. Ethan Fisher's a diehard Aggie. If you look at his Twitter, this guy's retweeting the players. He's, responding to trolls. He's liking pro-Aggie comments. The Fishers love themselves some Texas A&M football. And I don't think that, I think Josh Pate was the one that said that maybe Jimbo's just kind of giving the double birds to people by holding Moose out for the sleeve thing, which I'm not even going to address because I feel like y'all have your opinions and we all, whatever. But I don't really know if Jimbo's ever going to do that. If he's really just going to throw in the towel and give the double birds. I feel like Jimbo does care. I feel like he really cares. I feel like he really wants to win for Texas A&M, but more so for himself. Whatever fuels it, I'm on board with the winning or the desire to win. I mean, look at him post-Florida. Look at him post-Alabama, how overjoyed he was. I mean, I don't think he's just, not giving a shit. Does anybody really think that? I don't know. I'm trying to fabricate points at this point. Did I make a good point? My last point. Success is not always a straight ride to the top. And I think I've said this a couple times. Did I already say that in this video? I might have already said this. I don't remember. Yeah, I think I did. When in life, success isn't always a straight ride to the top. Just remember that, folks. I think I'm out of points to make about Jimbo. But, I'm trying positivity. Every video I've been making lately has been pretty negative. I mean, it's been a negative season. It's been a negative experience. Did y'all watch basketball the other day? We lost to Murray State. That sucked. That was supposed to be the great hope. We're getting closer to baseball. But anyway, trying positivity. We're stuck with Jimbo. I mean, we have to face that. I think it's a good sign what happened in the Pulse, how he sounded to the team. I mean, I don't think if he's too stubborn to change, he'd be saying that. I don't think he acknowledges it if he's as stubborn as some suggest, and as I've suggested in the past. So yeah, it's kind of painful to go through all of those because I don't necessarily feel all of those with conviction. But since we're stuck with him, I thought I'd make the points. What do you guys think about Jimbo at this point, guys? I think I've done 4 videos on him how many times have I said the word point in the last 5 minutes? At this point, I've made many videos about him. I've made many points about him. But I just felt the need to make a positive Jimbo video because he's the guy. So let's beat UMass. I think it's going to happen. I don't think we're going to score 34 points. I really don't. So go ahead and bet us not to cover. I think that's a really good bet this week. Even though UMass is terrible, I think we need to figure out how to win with a bunch of freshmen. Let's just go kick some ass and win a game. Gig 'em. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please consider subscribing. It helps me greatly. And if you're already subscribed, hit that notification bell so you don't miss my next video. Thanks, guys. I'll see you very soon.